Hello everybody, casual viewers and subscribers alike, and welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who YouTube video. Today I will be continuing my most popular video series to date, Writers of Who, where I evaluate the Doctor Who related works of a specific Doctor Who writer. In previous videos I have looked at episodes written by both Mark Gatiss and the somewhat controversial Stephen Moffat. Today I will be looking at the episodes and spin-offs written by Russell T Davies, the first showrunner of New Who and showrunner of two spin-offs, The Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood. Before I delve into the bulk of this video, then please like this video if you do enjoy my bi-weekly content. I would really appreciate that, and comment below with your opinions on Russell T Davies as a writer. Now, let's get into the main portion of this video. The first thing I should mention before looking at his episodes itself is the fact that Russell T Davies is solely responsible for breathing life back into Doctor Who. Without his incredible first series as showrunner, it would have likely been cancelled, and we'd probably still be in what Whovians called the wilderness years. He also redefined the tone of Doctor Who, changing it from a cheesy, pantomime-like serialised programme into a more modern, slightly less cheesy, and darker, more episodic programme, and for that Russell T Davies is, I can't think of any other words but awesome. Another thing I should also mention is the sheer amount of work that Russell T Davies put in to ensuring that everyone could love Doctor Who, not just the target audience, which is, well, kind of anyone as long as they're Whovians. During his run, Davies produced two extremely successful spin-offs which each got around 3 million viewers per episode in the form of Torchwood, a much darker and grittier programme aimed at adults, and The Sarah Jane Adventures, a series of quirky 20-minute long episodes that are largely aimed at younger children. Personally, I have never watched Torchwood. I'm planning to sometime soon though, but my main priority is Classic Who at the moment. However, I have watched Series 1 of the Sarah Jane Adventures, and to be quite honest, I didn't really like it. I can see that it is definitely, a very good programme by children's programme standards, but it is aimed at people much younger than myself, and I do understand that. If I was much younger, I would probably enjoy it a lot more than I would enjoy Doctor Who. Anyway, we're here to talk about Doctor Who, the main programme, and the episodes that Russell T Davies wrote and was showrunner for. In Series 1, which was incredibly successful, Russell T Davies wrote 5 stories, a considerable amount. The first story is Rose, a particularly good opening to New Who as a whole. It introduces some really great characters, and while it is very cheesy and goofy at times, it just makes it charming, really. Next we have the following story, The End of the World, which is a fun space story that reminds me a lot of the game Among Us, where everyone is trying to find out who is sabotaging the ship. The story is a lot of fun, and the effects are pretty good, and the character and costume and creature design is actually really creative. I enjoy that. Next, Davies wrote the first 2-part story in New Who, Aliens of London and World War III. Personally, I really enjoy this, mostly for nostalgic reasons, because Series 1 was my first series I watched. I watched on Netflix back in 2017, but the whole concept of farting green aliens is so stupidly ridiculous that it's good, in a way. Next, Russell T Davies wrote the episode Boomtown, 6 episodes onwards, the penultimate story of Series 1. This story used to be regarded as, mediocre and quite overlooked, but now it's actually really loved. I don't understand why the general consensus changed on this story, but my opinion has stayed rooted that it's not very good at all. It has lots of filler, and although the characters are great, they don't make up for the complete lack of substance and plot here. Sorry Boomtown fans, this one just wasn't for me. Finally, we have the explosive first season finale of New Who, in the form of Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. This one is quite interesting in a way, because by episode standards it's flawless, but by finale standards it's mediocre, I suppose. Anyway, this is incredibly fun to watch. The game show concepts of Part 1 are hilarious, and the regeneration scene makes me actually really sad since Christopher Eccleston only got 1 season and he deserved a lot more. Now, let's skip to David Tennant's first season of The Doctor in Series 2. I won't delve too deeply into my opinions on this series, but in short, I don't really like it, to be honest. Anyway, Davies wrote 4 stories for the second series. The first of these is New Earth, which in a way is a sequel to the much-loved Series 1 story, The End of the World. However, this one lacks the fun the original had, and is a bit weird, with the cat nurses and the face of Bo plot that leads nowhere until the next season. Yeah, story is pretty much purely set up for Gridlock, and the setup that wasn't even needed, to be honest. Tooth and Claw, the succeeding episode, is a bit better than New Earth. However, it's a very generic plot. Like, werewolves have been done a million times before, and the setting is a bit dull, and the plot's conclusion is way too convoluted and out of nowhere to be taken seriously. However, it does provide some setup for Torchwood. Skip 8 episodes and we have Love and Monsters, one of the most hated Doctor Who stories ever. Here is my concise opinion on this episode. It's bad, but not that bad. There are much worse episodes in New Who, and there are worse episodes in this season. Fear her. The Absorber Off is honestly just so stupidly awful, and, it's not so bad it's good, it's just bad. And the final third lets it down quite a lot. But it does bring some interesting concepts, and it was bold of them to make a Dr. Light story like this so early on in the show. Finally, Davies wrote the Season 2 finale of the two-part story Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. I used to love this one, but after a rewatch I find it a bit underwhelming, to be honest. It's still a good story, and I am glad that Rose left, and along with the Daleks and Cybermen battling, it makes for a nice story, but it just isn't as good as its reputation says it is. Now on to Series 3, a season that I enjoyed significantly more than Series 2. This series didn't have many bad episodes, just a few mediocre ones, most of which Russell T Davies did not write. As usual, Russell T Davies wrote the opening episode, which is called Smith and Jones. It's a solid one-part story that introduces us to the monsters known as the Judoon and new companion Martha Jones. The story is nice and is a good and often overlooked episode. Next, he wrote Gridlock, which follows on from New Earth and is kind of the conclusion to the New Earth trilogy. It teases a master reveal to come in Utopia as well. It has some pretty cool world building, and the setting is actually really fun. Again, another solid story, and this is definitely proof of Russell's episode quality improving from Series 2. Finally, his third and final story for Season 3 is the epic 3-part story Utopia, The Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords. This story is 2 hours long, even longer than the average classic Who 4-parter, and it is insanely good. The lowlight is Utopia of this trilogy, which is alright but seems small compared to the epic scale of the other 2 parts. John Simm's Master is incredible, and the character of Martha has loads of development before leaving. She deserved another season in my opinion. But anyway, Series 3 is definitely improvement on Series 2 in my opinion. Russell T Davies' 4th and final season as writer and showrunner is usually considered the peak of the golden age of New Who, and although I believe that Capaldi's run deserved that honour, Series 4 is still phenomenal nonetheless. Davies' first story in this series, Partners in Crime, is a fun little story. It seems quite bad compared to the other stories, but really, it's just kind of overshadowed. It's quite fun. The adipose are a bit weird, and the plot is only there because the story needs one, not because it's a good plot. This is largely a character story though, where the Doctor and Donna meet again. Their banter is very enjoyable, and this is one of the funniest episodes to come out of Doctor Who ever. Skip 9 episodes and we have the episode Midnight. This is usually regarded as somewhat of a classic story, and although I used to think it overrated, I've grown to appreciate it much more now I understand the horror elements. This episode is terrifying, the villains are incredible, and it just shows that the Doctor isn't always trusted. Next, Russell wrote Turn Left, a strange story that feels like filler and important at the same time. It gives us some interesting concepts in the form of a what-if story, something Doctor Who had never done before, and it also sets up Rose Tyler returning. The cliffhanger is also amazing, with all the bad wolf everywhere. That's really cool, actually. Finally, Russell wrote the explosive season finale, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. This is a great story, the Daleks are brilliant as always, and it really does feel like the endgame of the Tennant era, as it should. However, it does feel a bit bloated with characters, and lots of the first part is quite boring. However, this is still a very amazing story, and although it isn't my favourite story in Series 4, I love it so much. So that is all I have for today's video, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video if you did. Also, comment below with your opinions on the Russell T Davies' era, and what you like about his writing, or maybe don't like. Also, let me know what your favourite and least favourite episodes written by Russell T Davies are as well. I'm actually quite curious to think, like to know your opinions on that. Anyway, thank you for watching, everybody, and on Thursday, I will continue my reviews, my monthly reviews, with An Unearthly Child, the very first Doctor Who story ever. Again, thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you on Thursday. Goodbye.
If you were any part of killing her, and you're not afraid, then you understand nothing at all. So for your own sake, understand this. I am the Doctor. I'm coming to find you.